Let's move to triggers. Writing a trigger is very easy. You can simply go and create a new trigger. Creating a trigger on account. By default, we get the trigger on account. There are multiple different events that are there in a trigger. Before insert, after insert, before update, after update, before delete, after delete, and after undelete. Any idea why don't we have before undelete? Anyone?
Because the record was not created in database. So if the record is not created in database and ID is will not generated, so how we can delete the record? That's why there is a no before and delete. Hello.
Yeah, that's correct.
Thank
So basically, we don't have any before undelete because that data is not there in the database itself. So you will not get any before the record, like before versions. So that is the reason we don't have any before undelete. Now, this is how we can mention the number of events that we want this particular trigger to handle. So this trigger is handling after, before insert, before update, before delete, after delete, and after and delete. But we don't want all our code to work on all of these events, right? So we have to use conditional statements. Now, there are a lot of context variables that are available to us. Trigger. Now, what does this mean? This means that we are in the before insert operation. Is insert will return true when we are in the insert operation, and is before will return true when we are in the before operation. So whatever we write inside the statement, it becomes part of before insert. Okay. Now if I write is after over here, it will be after insert. If I write is date, so it is going to be before update. And replicating that same is update is after, it becomes after update. Now we have before delete and after delete, and same ways we have after undelete also is undelete. So now we have one condition each there for all the context variables. So by the way, these are known as context variables.
So what is meant by context context variable means?
You see, context means when we are inside a trigger, this is a trigger context. In trigger context, uh, so see, with context we mean like it's simply a context, man. Uh, in a trigger context, we have access to a couple of variables. Like if we are running inside a trigger, if that particular instance is inside a trigger, it means a trigger context. Okay.
Okay, so there, if we write a triggers, there is a handler, and then there is a logic. So we write logic in Apex, and we call in trigger. Correct?
Yes.
So the two class. So whenever we write a logic in Apex and we have to call, in that scenario, we use the context variable
Hmm.
and then we call that class name dot method name
Yes.
under the context variable. Correct?
No, context variables are the variables which are available throughout those contexts. The
Okay.
trigger variables, these variables, trigger dot is delayed, trigger dot is update, is available throughout the context. So these are known as context variables.
Okay.
Like throughout the trigger context, whenever this trigger is running, these variables are always there. That's why these are known as context variables.
So these are nothing but the events, correct? Before insert, then before update,
Yes,
after insert. Total seven are there.
yes,
Hello.
yes.
What is exactly meaning of the context?
So see, these are the context variable, trigger context variables. Anytime during the runtime, see, all triggers define implicit variables that allow developer to access runtime context. So basically, context variable means that these variables are available to us whenever the trigger is running. That's simple. Only that thing. Clear?
Yes, clear.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now there are a couple of more variables apart from these, like these one, two, three, four, five, six. Okay, these six variables are there, and there is trigger dot is executing. So suppose if I'm writing a particular class which runs both with trigger and without trigger, so I can have a check like trigger dot is executing. It will return true whenever we are in a trigger context, in a trigger instance, if you can say, or if we are not in a trigger instance, means you are clicking on a VF page button or an LWC button, and then the Apex execution is starting. That means we are not in a trigger context. But if we are in a trigger context, it means suppose we are inserting a record, like let's say we are clicking on a save button on a record page, that means a trigger context is getting started. Or if we are clicking on a button on a VF page or an LWC component, it is doing some backend processing at that time. trigger dot is executing will return false because we are not in a trigger context. But as soon as we insert something, let's say we are inserting a record from that instance, from the LWC instance, from there onwards the trigger context will start. Is my point clear over here? Okay, moving forward. So these are the context variables, and trigger dot is executing will return true when we are in a trigger context, and will return false when we are not in a trigger context. Then we have trigger dot new, which will return the list of all the new records, the new version of the records. We also have trigger dot old, which is useful in the update and delete scenarios because we will get the old version of the records. And update it is mostly useful. We'll get the old version of those same records. Then we also have trigger dot uh, new map and trigger dot old map. These new maps and old map contain the new version and the old version of the records.
So what was the difference between the trigger.new and the trigger.new map? Because both of the context variables are written the new version of the record.
Trigger.newmap contains data
ID, yeah, ID and then a subject.
with ID and as object. So you can access it with the ID. But trigger.new will only have the list object data.
Correct, but I debugged that trigger.new. So by default, in console, it will be written uh, list of the record of that name and as well as the ID under the curly braces, under the round braces.
So see, trigger.new doesn't mean that you are not getting the ID over there.
Hmm.
But can you access that record directly with the help of ID? You have to do a for loop, check each and every
Correct.
record, and do right.
Yeah. Hmm.
So this is the difference. And if the way you are telling, it means that you don't need map anyways. Like it's a collection basically. It's a type of collection. It
Hmm.
is there for our easiness. Like how easy we can loop through things, how easily we can access a particular record from a list of records. Okay, the way you are
Okay.
saying it means like we should not have collections, we should not have sets, we should not have maps because list is also having those records. There is no
Hmm.
difference between the new map and new. Both are having same records. The only difference is trigger.new is a list and trigger.newmap is a map. There is no difference. And same goes for trigger.old and trigger.old map.
Okay. So when to use the trigger.new, the trigger.new map.
So when you are iterating over something, use trigger.new.
Okay.
When you want to access a particular variable directly, you have an ID of an account and you want to access that directly, go ahead and use trigger.newmap.
Okay. Using ID, if I want to, if I want to change or create a new record, so that scenario I use trigger.new map, and only if I want to create a record, then I
So here
use
the records are
trigger.
created, man. The records are created over here.
Okay.
If you want to check anything using, you have the ID and you want to check anything, then you are using the map. And when you want to iterate over all the new records, you are using the list.
Okay. Okay. Got it. So what I understood in the my read some blogs. So if I want to use, so there is an account and then contact. Okay. So account related, the contest will be there. Correct. So I get the account ID and related the contact. If I want to, if I create a new account, so it will be create automatic contact related the account. So in that scenario, I use trigger dot new.
I don't know which blog you are referring to, but I don't think this can be a valid scenario. You are referring to a wrong blog, I will say. So
Okay.
let's suppose I want to iterate over all the records over here. So what I will do is account bcp trigger.me. Okay. Now I want to check that um, uh, the status of this account has changed. Acc.status not equal to trigger.oldmap.get acc.id status. So here I am simply checking if the status of the new version of the record is changed from the old version of the record, then only it will go inside this for loop. Otherwise it will sorry, inside this if, otherwise it will not go.
Mm.
So this is how we are going to use the maps. I had the id, I wanted the old version of this particular account. So what I did, trigger.oldmap.get account.id.
ID. Got it. Getting ID and then change status. Status will be none. Okay. Got it. Mm.
And this is how we are going to use the maps.
The new version of the record and getting ID and change status. Okay. Okay.
Now
Got it.
let's suppose I want to get all the accounts of these contacts. So what I will do over here is I will get all the contacts, list of contact. So see, now in this I queried all the list of contacts. Is there any issue? Line number 16. So over here you will see that we have a account contact map. I'm, I have created this map so that for each account I'm getting all the contacts. Any confusion over here? This is how we are going to create collections and use them in future for getting all the contacts for a particular account. Like, this depends on the operation and business use cases, but this is how you are going to use it. Any questions here?
No, first getting the contact list and then map of contact. And create the contact list. Okay, then getting the keys. Count keys, map, getting. Okay, got it. Carry presence.
Hi, hi Soumya. Can you explain this code?
Over here, I'm getting all the contacts. I have created an account contact map. I'm iterating over the contact list that I've got for all the account IDs which are there in the trigger.new. Then over here, I'm checking if for that account do we have like is this map is having that account ID or not. If not, then I'm creating a temporary list, adding that contact over here, and adding that contact temporary list against that account. If we are having, then I'm adding the account ID. I'm using that account ID to get the contact list and adding it to the contact, adding that contact to that contact list. Simple. And that reference is already there in the map, so it will directly get added to the map itself.
Got it.
Now, let's suppose you want to do a now. Let's suppose you want to calculate the number of accounts on those the number of contacts on those accounts. Okay. So this is how you can get the list or the size of contacts for that particular account. Okay, after this for loop you will get, because after this for loop you have all the contacts for that particular account. Now you need to make sure that the trigger runs in system context. So over here you will get everything, every contact, but as soon as you write this logic inside a class, it runs in the share with sharing context always by default. And if you're specifying without sharing, then again it becomes a system context. So always these kind of logics which depends on your business case scenarios are mostly written inside a helper class, which is obviously be having with sharing context enabled, so that whatever operation you are doing you get access only and only to the records that are available to you. That's the first thing. Over here if you see how I'm accessing the variables like contact dot account id. So anything that we have, so basically contact account id is the api name of the account variable of the which is there on contact, the account lookup field, right, which is there on the contact. So this is how you are going to access it. Whenever you are writing a query, you write select id comma name comma account id from contact, where account id in a particular list or equal to a particular value. When we write dynamic queries, so see, usually this is a dynamic query, like select id comma name comma account id from contact, where this. At times we need to dynamically get the list of fields. So what you can do is you can get the list of all the pick list values or the API names. So you can use the schema, like I earlier had yeah, this one. So here you can use the schema dot s object type dot case dot fields dot get map. So if I show you what does this return, so if you see, it has written all the API names of the fields which are there on case. Same can be done with account. And instead of key set, let's just debug the map. It will get us more values. So see, it is getting the both the things, the actual API name and what API name you have written. So active A is capital, billing city like it's camel case. So these things are. You also get some other details if we just debug the fields. No. So we also get the field type that we need to look into. Okay. What we can also do when we are writing a dynamic query, we can also get the field sets. And using field sets, we can define, like for query 1 we have a particular field set, for query 2 we have a particular field set, and with those field set we can define the lists, we can define the queries, like we can easily add or remove the fields which we need in a particular query, or which we need in the table, because everything can be dynamic from there onwards. So we can even use the field sets. So on line 21, we are using the account ID to get all the related contacts. So over here we have always used account ID to add the contact. Account ID is there on the contact. That's why we are using it. So over here we are using the account ID to get all the contacts for that particular account ID.
Hello, Soumya.
Yes.
In particular trigger scenario, how to decide whether in particular we have to suppose fetch the data through SOQL, then how to choose whether we have to use parent to child SOQL or child to parent SOQL.
So it depends. Okay. Now you have to see from where you can get the data easily in less queries. Now whenever you are in a trigger, you let's say we are on an account trigger. Okay. Now from an account trigger, we need data for a particular context and all the tasks related to that particular contact. So what we are going to do is we are going to write a query on contact and have an inner query for task. But when we are on a account, like the trigger is on account, and we just need some values of contact and also some values of opportunities. We don't need any other values from task or anything else. Write a single query on account only, but we can have two inner queries, one on opportunity and one on contact. So this is how we need to decide, like what the query needs to be, and this purely depends on the business use case, uh, on how we can do it. If it can be a single query, if it has to be a multiple query, if we have to go parent to child or child to parent.
How it's working where account ID in trigger.me.
Okay. So see how this is working. Basically, when we are doing account ID in trigger.neo, trigger.neo is having a collection of accounts,
List.
the list of accounts. So Salesforce handles this part. Salesforce directly gets all the IDs from account and gives it to the query. Salesforce handles this part. You cannot do a similar thing with the map.
All the account means account ID inserted in the trigger.new means
Yes,
list of the collections.
yes.
Also there we can in the dynamic query. So we use a percentage and create a variable. So if you use some if they are searching. So if searching Aslam Ali, so you will be searching my name as per dynamic query.
That percentage thing is about the like operator. Uh, yeah. So whenever you are writing a dynamic query, like let's say we have a function. So this is how you can use it. You can create a query. And now then you can use database.query to execute this query.
Okay.
And whatever you will give in the search key, you will get a similar name like that.
Mm-hmm. Database dot query. So it will be get the all the names from database query and searching and dynamic query. Okay.
So this is how you can write the dynamic query.
Mhm.
If you have any questions in today's session, you can ask me.
So so there are different events and different
Say I want to get the count. So aggregate query select count of, we can select count of ID from account where name equal to a particular name. So this is how you can get the count of the number of accounts which are having no name. You can also have integer. It is giving an illegal assignment, but we can remove that. Select sum and then sum of amount from opportunity where we can have a couple of conditions where close date equal to today. So we will get the sum of amount. We will get the sum of amount from, we will get the sum of amount from the opportunity where the close date is today. Can we run the aggregate queries? So see, right now it is 0. If I remove this part, see, we got sum of amount. If I do it count, no, we cannot do 2, we can do only 1. And then we can do count. So 32 rows. We got 32. A query can return either an integer, list, or a record of a subject. So we can do it like this. So let's suppose, now this will return an aggregate result. Okay, as a list of aggregate result. Over here, you will get record count. Okay, you will get record count for that as we are grouping by email. So you will get the record count for those emails. Let's suppose you are getting 4 contacts with same email. You will get in aggregate results um, each group will be inside a particular aggregate result. You can do like aggregate result, like it will be like this: AR results. So AR dot record count. So as like we don't have in that, right? So AR dot get record count will be there. Here you will get the record count, and then AR dot get email, as that is a field. You will get AR dot get email. So in this email you will get the email, like for which email what is the record count. This is how you will get an aggregate query. So this is, I guess, let's wrap the session for today. Today we have seen how the triggers can be written, how we can write simple logics inside the trigger. We have looked into collections and other things, and we have looked into queries, how we can write queries, how we can write dynamic queries like using strings. Uh, so I guess we can wrap the session for today. And in the next session, we will be looking into queries and other things more in the detail with these logics. So I will have those codes handy with me, so it's better for you to understand instead of me writing codes at the runtime. So that will be better.